I love the game of football. I've got one shot that I can really chase this dream. The stats say I have a less than 1% chance of making this dream a reality. And I always looked at it as, I don't want to get to 30 and have what ifs. And I get a call from my agent. He's like, well, the Eagles are going to sign you. Never thought I would play 10 years in the National Football League.
Yeah. So would you consider yourself a Swiftie? Hey y'all, it's Pat. Welcome back to another episode of Like a Farmer. Before I introduce a 3-time Super Bowl champion, I want to say I appreciate everybody always tuning in to Like a Farmer, no matter how you're doing it, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. There's a million of platforms out there now, but just keep watching Like a Farmer. Keep with the mission. We're once a week now. And with that being said, 3-time Super Bowl champion, long snapper for the Kansas City Chiefs, James Winchester.
What's up, Pat?
James,
hey, glad to be on the show.
I'm pumped to have you on the show.
Yeah,
and thank you for letting me.
Welcome to Bucyrus, Kansas.
Dude, I mean, I'm excited to be here, and let's just start with that. I mean, we're sitting here on your farm, on your property. Tell me how this came about.
Yeah, so we've been in Kansas City for 5.5, 6 years, and we had been looking for some property, and we had young kids and wanted to get them out of the city. I grew up in a town of 500 in Washington, Oklahoma, and so the dream was to always live on a farm, raise my kids out away from town. And I was hunting a property south of Overland Park and killed a big deer, which is on the wall. Killed that deer and basically just gave the farmer some tickets for allowing me to come out and hunt and thanked him for that. And the next year rolled around, I sent him a text and asked if I could hunt the property again. And he said yes. And his next text to me was, hey, she's selling her house on top of the hill. And so one thing led to another. We got to come look at the property, and it was exactly what we wanted. And one thing led to another, and here we are. So we've been here 2.5, almost 3 years, and loving every second of it. So we've got 80 acres here, and we get to call it home and get to live on a farm while I'm playing, which we didn't think would ever be possible. So.
Yeah, and just back up to that. I mean, you talk about, and this is what I love about farmers, and this is a big reason why I started the show. I mean, you found this piece of property, you went to the farmer and said, hey, can I hunt it? And you just gave him some tickets. And like, those types of people that grow up in rural America, I mean, it's such a family-based atmosphere when you go to these small towns across the country. And like where you were from. I mean, number one, let's start from the beginning. I mean, high school wide receiver.
Yeah.
You're a walk-on at Oklahoma. You're a 3-time Super Bowl champ. You come from rural America. I mean, what would a young James Winchester say now?
Unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't believe you, I think, if you told me. I always had dreams of playing football and continuing my career. But I mean, I just wanted to be a Sooner, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Growing up in small town Washington, Oklahoma, I always dreamed of being a Sooner. My dad was at Oklahoma in the 80s and won a national championship. He was a walk-on as well. My sister walked on to the basketball program. And so I wanted to be a Sooner. And so I walked on the hard way and, tried to make it as a wide receiver, and soon found out I was going to have a hard time making the team. And so I had this God-given ability to long snap. And so I tried that and had the ability to make the team, and it got me on the team, and then continued to keep going until I earned a scholarship. And then it really wasn't until my senior year in college where I had actually our team chaplain came up to me and said, hey, what are you going to do next year? And I'm like, what do you mean next year? Go to work? And he's like, no, like NFL, what are you going to do? And I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And he's like, do you have an agent? And I said, no, I don't have an agent. So he got me set up with one and just tried to give it a shot there. But, basically at the end of my college career, I was a wide receiver with no experience.
Yep.
And I was a long snapper that had experience, but I wasn't heavy enough. I was kind of a body of a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So
you were a stud in high school in wide receiver.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, small school. But
drop some stats on that. Like,
small school, we were Class A when I was at Washington, and really good football program. I think we lost like 7 games in my time at Washington, and never won a state championship. Played for one and lost in the semis a couple of years. But I was a wide receiver and a
you were that
school.
dude. I mean,
I tried. Yeah, I tried to.
But did you get looked at all coming out of high school from any colleges?
No D1, just smaller D2 schools and some JUCOs. And I found out the junior and senior year, it was like my goal and dream and aspiration was to go to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
wanted to be a Sooner, and so
that was because of your pops.
That's because of my dad. Yep. And so having the opportunity to try to walk on and do that whole and live that dream, that was what I really dreamed of doing. and then had no idea that this whole NFL thing would be possible, and to get to be a part of the Kansas City Chiefs later on. I mean, unbelievable. So, I spent 3 years after college out of basically working in oil and gas, bouncing from town to town. Knew enough people in Oklahoma that wherever I was working on site doing that landman work, that they would
This
let me
was
go.
right after college.
That's right after college.
Like,
yeah.
so tell me that mindset of, okay, you've got some skill. You've got it in you. You've got a hell of a work ethic too, and I'm excited to talk about that and how that how that got ingrained in you. But when you have a gap like that right after playing high school and then college ball, like, how do you stay in shape? How do you stay with the mentality of, hey, I still want to play football?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I love the game of football, so the drive was there. The want to go play was there. I actually tried to, when I first came out of college, I was trying to prove everyone wrong and be a wide receiver. But the lack of experience really hurt me there. And so I actually came to Kansas City in 2012 as a tryout wide receiver, trying to, earn a contract, and didn't earn a contract. When I went home, I had a coach that I know that kind of basically just said, hey, man, I know your dream is to play wide receiver in the NFL, but your ticket is the long snap. So at that point, I basically put all of my time and effort into gaining weight, continuing to perfect my craft as a long snapper. And I had to gain about 40 pounds, but after I gained that weight, started getting looks in 2013, signed with the Eagles, was there,
And tell me how I'd read maybe something, because your buddies with Lane.
Lane Johnson. Yeah,
their long snapper went down, right?
That's right.
And then you call him.
That's right. So I was at my family.
That's what I want to hear.
I was.
See, I got a great team that does my research now.
There you go. That's awesome. So that's right. So Lane's a buddy of mine going back to college, and Big Lane, I love that guy to death. I mean, he's such a good dude, and we kind of hit it off in college because he was from a small town, Groveton, Texas, and was kind of this tight end / quarterback, played JUCO quarterback, and so he was a scholarship kid. I was a walk-on at the time, but we were kind of in the same boat in a lot of ways, small town kids, and so we hit it off and got to know his family, and the rest was history. But so in 2013, I'm with my family's property down in southern Oklahoma, and we're excited to watch Big Lane's first preseason game. And we're watching his first game, and John Dorenbos was their long snapper at the time. He gets knocked out of the game, concussion. And so, here I am sitting at home. I'm like, well, so called my agent, called Lane. I'm like, hey, tell him about me, and I know they have tape on me from working out with you. And so see what they say. And so this is the next day. I'm with my uncle fishing. So we're out on this little farm pond fishing and a little 2-man bass boat. And I get a call from my agent. She's like, hey, how soon can you get to Oklahoma City? And I was like, as fast as I need to. She's like, well, the Eagles are going to sign you, so you need to go. And so ran back to Oklahoma City, got on a plane, flew up there, and was in practice the next day in training camp. And so I got to spend a couple weeks there and trying to make the team. And soon found out that he was their long snapper. He wasn't going to go anywhere, but it was a great opportunity for me to get some experience.
Yeah, get some reps.
And so it was a cool deal to kind of be like teammates with Lane for a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that was 2013. 2014 really didn't have a whole lot of opportunity there. Worked out for a couple teams.
Yeah, after that, you go on another gap. That's
right.
Football, right?
3 total years out after college.
See, it goes back to like, how do you keep, number one, in shape, but mental as well? Like, hey, I still want to do this.
I mean, my deal was I love the game of football, and I've got one shot. I've got solid 2 to 3 years that I can really chase this dream and see what happens. And I always looked at it as, I don't want to get to 30 and have what ifs and go, what if I would have, kept going or pushed a little harder. So, motivation to work in the oil and gas industry as a landman, but also go train for a couple hours at lunch. I mean, those were all, I kind of got that work ethic from my dad and family, and just kind of being the try-hard kid and not knowing when to quit. And so I looked at it as like, man, the stats say I have a less than 1% chance of making this dream a reality. Yeah. But I don't want to get to 30 and look back and not have, not know if I would have just, continued to push a little harder and tried. And so, I thought if this dream doesn't happen, all good, life goes on, right? But I didn't want to look back and have regrets. And, now here I am, I got to 30 and 35, 34 years old and looking back. And
dude, you got 3 chips,
man. I haven't played in 4 Super Bowls and won 3. I mean, just.
And you lost one of those Super Bowls.
We did, unfortunately.
Who was that? Who was that too? I can't.
To your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's what it was. Yeah.
If you're going to lose one, I guess losing one to Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, right? Yeah. And it was in Tampa.
It was in Tampa.
I mean, you've got 3 championships. I mean, tell me how that has just really changed your life. Number one, you got to play with Bob Stoops at Oklahoma.
Yep, Coach Stoops.
Now you got Coach Reid.
Unbelievable. I mean, how does that line up? Thank you, God, right?
Yeah, you talk about mentors.
Yeah, I mean, right place at the right time. I mean, and the whole deal just all started with a dream of just loving football, and that was instilled into me at a young age from my dad and wanting to be a part of Oklahoma. I had no idea this would take off, but yeah, getting to have the opportunity to be coached by Coach Stoops. I mean, unbelievable time there. Ended up earning a scholarship senior year, so that was cool. Got a scholarship from Coach Stoops, and and then I grew up a Dallas fan. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say it. Sorry.
Oh wow.
But we've changed that. We've changed that since then. But always watching the battles that Dallas and Philly had with Coach Reid. So always respecting Coach Reid as a coach.
Yeah.
And seeing him from afar. The Andy Reid. And then lo and behold, come to Kansas City, and in my stint with the Eagles, which was very short, a couple of weeks, it was Chip Kelly's first year, so it was Coach Reid's first year in Kansas City. So got to unite with Coach Reid and Dave Toe, an incredible special teams coordinator, and have been with both those guys ever since started. Which that would have been, I guess, Andy came to Kansas City in 2013, so I arrived in 2015, and so have got to be along for the ride. And it's
so
just
cool,
unbelievable. I mean. Right place, right time. Like I said, thank you, Lord. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for opportunity and but none of that would have been possible if it wasn't for continuing to chase the dream. When we had the opportunity, and man, just very blessed to be part of it.
Is Coach Reid like the guy that social media portrays him to be? I mean, just a laid back, loves cheeseburgers, like just loves to have a good time. I mean, he's a football genius, right? I mean, his IQ's through the roof. I would probably put him up there as top 2, top 3 for sure of all time.
Yeah.
But how is Coach Reid?
He's an incredible leader of men. He watching how he leads a locker room is pretty impressive. And he's a very disciplinary. We have a way who we're going to do things, and this is just the way it is. He's not about individuals. He's everything for the team, and everything is cohesive. And it's just been impressive because from day one when I got here in 2015 to trying to win Super Bowls to now we're right in the thick of it, and we're having some success. He hasn't changed a bit. He sticks to what he knows. He's an absolute genius when it comes to X's and O's, but he's just such a good human being, and everyone in that locker room respects him. Would run through a brick wall, and the way he, sticks up for his players. And it's been such a cool deal for me to get to witness that. And you see why we have the success that we have, by having a guy like that just can lead these men. So it's been a dream getting to be around Coach Reid.
And it starts with the coach, but I think a lot of the teams that have a coach like that mentorship and leadership has to leak down into the locker room.
That's right.
Name me a couple players on the Chiefs that you think are just major leaders of men as well, too.
Well, you got to start with Pat Mahomes and Travis. Those guys are, you got 2 future Hall of Famers and a Hall of Fame coach. It doesn't get better than that. But we have such a great supporting cast. Everybody from the top of the top to the low of the low when it comes to coaches, players. Everyone has a role on the team. And everyone takes a lot of pride in what they do, whether it's special teams, offense, defense. And we've got some great players. Really good players on offense, defense, and got a lot of guys coaching them. But, yeah, it's pretty incredible. It just overall there's so much talent on the team and leadership that it's no surprise that we have the success that we have, And
totally.
It's such a cool deal for me to just get to witness that, get to be in the locker room with these guys every day, get to know them. And then go through the grind of a season with these guys, and to have done it as long as I have. I think I'm officially the oldest guy on the team. So
Are you?
There you go, yeah.
And you're going to be 35?
35 in August.
In August.
That's right.
You're the oldest
I think
on the
I'm
team?
a couple months older than Travis. So he's we're right there with Trav. But it's special, man. It's special. I know. Hey, we'll keep that under wraps. They don't even know how old I am.
I think when it comes, and I'm excited to talk about outside of football too with you. But when it comes to football, and I'm wearing my hoodie that Josh Allen and I created, and this is
good-looking hoodie.
This is Josh's favorite quote: "Bloom where you're planted." Everything that you've landed in life, whether it's playing football, then not playing, then not playing, you've seemed to bloom there, and you've done that in Kansas City, and it's like you just said, you've had a front row seat to see all of this, and you're a huge, part of the success too of the team, but. There's one thing that just kind of is mind-blowing. It happened this year. I'm just curious your thoughts on Kansas City has one of the best fan bases, especially when it comes to the Chiefs.
Yep.
There's a new fan base that came into town, and they call themselves
Swifties.
the Swifties.
The Swifties.
How has that been?
Yeah, that was an interesting spectacle. You know? But
And how did that, tell me how it all, transpired. Because rumors started from, I'm sure TMZ or E! News or whoever broke this maybe possibility of Trav and T Swift dating.
Yes.
How did it break?
So, we'd heard rumors, you know, the Trav posting, the friendship bracelets and things like that, and I mean, those guys are always talking about this and that. So, you just kind of it just comes with those guys. And Trav, I mean, he's one in a million, right? I mean, he's just an incredible football player, but his personality and as an entertainer, I mean, he's just off the charts.
Yeah.
So, we kind of heard, but just whatever. It wasn't until the Chicago game, we're playing in Kansas City against Chicago. It's towards the end of the game, and there had been, rumors circulating, Trav and Taylor, and I had one of our equipment managers, Jay White. I was standing with him on the sideline, and we were doing pretty well that game. We were winning pretty big. And I just made this comment. I said, Jay, I think this whole thing is just made up. I think it's just a big rumor. And Jay looked at me and he goes, no, dude, she's here. And I was like, what? What do you mean she's here? And he goes, no, she's right there. And he's like, no, seriously. He turned to me and was like, look right there and just go down a little bit right there. And I'm
this was during a game.
During the game, yeah. This was during the game, probably, I don't know, third or fourth quarter. And I'm like, that's it. That's Taylor Swift. That's cool. She's here.
Yeah.
So my first response, I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. So I walked up to Trav in the game, and we were on the sideline, and I just said, hey, man, that's cool. She's here. And he's like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, did they put her up on the Jumbotron or something? And I'm like, no. I'm like, Jay just told me right there. I was like, that's awesome, man. Good for you. And he's just kind of smiling, oh, yeah, kind of blushing. And so
great.
Later on, the whole deal. Later on, we're walking up the ramp, and him and her go get on the cart, and so we're walking by and made some jokes to him on the way by, and later on that night got to meet her, and the first thing she said, hey, you're the guy with the cute kids, because we had my son and daughter out on the field, and so I'm like, dang, okay. I was like, I think I just became a T Swift fan,
That's awesome.
We're the same age, so I always heard her music.
Yeah. So would you consider yourself a Swiftie?
I mean, I'm a fan of her, because being around her this year and hearing everything, she's just such a genuine person, and where it might have got old for a lot of people seeing all of that posted, for us, it was great. It wasn't a distraction. Couldn't be happier for Trav and her, and that whole deal seems like a really good thing for him and her. And it was cool. And then her support all the way through the Super Bowl. I mean, it was awesome. I'm sure him and her both got tired of them showing them and making, stuff. So those out there who were, a little got tired of the T Swift stuff when they were watching the Chiefs. I'm sure they got a little tired of them showing themselves too. So it was, it's kind of a mutual deal there. But no, she was great. I mean, getting to meet her family and be around her and have conversations throughout the year, it was a lot of fun. And always we're the same age, so all of her music going back to 2006, 2007. I remember a lot of it. And so it was a cool thing to finally get to meet her. And it was awesome. It was a cool deal, and couldn't be happier for Trav and her.
That's awesome, man.
It was fun. Yeah, it was cool.
What's your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Oh, man. That's a good one. Probably the Shake It Off, because my kids love that song. They dance to it.
I'd get a Shake It Off, too.
And going back, I guess to add a wrinkle to this whole thing, I had 9 women in my family, including my wife, my mom, sisters, cousins, that all went to her concert at Arrowhead this summer.
Yeah.
Well, I got kind of conned into going to this thing. I didn't plan on going to this concert, but they're like, hey, so I was the one dude that went to this thing, and it was impressive. Actually seeing the show that she put on, and all the excitement around it. After watching it, I had a little different viewpoint. I'm like, man, she's an incredible, songwriter, singer, and entertainer.
Yeah,
correct. And then had no idea that the rest of the stuff that we'd be meeting her in October, and that we'd get to be around her some. So just a cool thing to look back on, and all the women in my family were going nuts over that.
Oh yeah.
But it definitely added a wrinkle, and we got some fans that were not expected joining Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah.
I don't know if that might have made us more of a hated team,
100%. Are you kidding
Definitely
me?
did.
Absolutely.
See, here in the
dude.
kingdom, it was excitement.
Yeah.
Outside of the kingdom, it was, you guys are annoying, and we don't want to hear about you guys anymore. But
Dude,
I
I would be flying out of Kansas City Airport, and there would be like Taylor Swift stuff all over the place.
Oh yeah,
man.
all over. Yeah. So you guys had to put up with it a little more than we did. We kind of try to push the distractions away, but it was an overall positive deal for us and the people here in Kansas City. And so shout out to Taylor and Trav for being them. And
Shout out Taylor and Trav.
it was cool. It was a great experience.
Not often you find love like that, so good for them.
Good for them, right? Couldn't be happy for them.
I mean, I'm still looking, so good for them.
Yeah, maybe. We'll hook you up one way or the other. I don't know. We can
Appreciate it.
there you go.
Do you think they might? Can you see them maybe getting it done, engaged, and
yeah, I could definitely see it. I think they're very similar in a lot of ways. You know, being around Trav, for the last 9 years. I think they're more similar than you would think.
Yeah.
So I wish the best for them. If that's, I'm going to go with what our kicker Harrison Bucker said. I hope you guys get married and have a lot of kids. So I'm like, hey, go for it, have a family. So,
I love that.
Happy for them.
That's cool.
Yep.
We'd like to take a minute to talk about Blue Otter sunglasses. Blue Otter sunglasses are the shades of choice for country superstars like Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, Riley Green, and Hardy. With Carl Zeiss scratch-resistant lenses, Blue Otter has partnered with Ag America to create the Like a Farmer frames, which benefit farmers and ranchers in rural communities. 10% of each purchase of the Like a Farmer Blue Otter sunglasses goes to Ag America Giving. Go to blueotterpolarized.com and search Like a Farmer. You can also go to likeafarmer.com and click on merch.
I want to play a game.
Okay.
This is one of the segments of Like a Farmer.
Okay.
And this game is called This or That. I'm going to ask you a couple this or that questions. You answer, and then you can ask me one.
Okay.
All right. First question. You're a fan at this point, okay? You're not playing ball.
Okay.
Would you rather have the Oklahoma Sooners win a national championship or the Kansas City Chiefs win a Super Bowl? You're a fan at this point
I'm
now.
a fan at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I would actually prefer to see the Sooners win a national championship. SEC, here we come.
Totally.
Right? You're an SEC guy, right?
Big SEC
There you go.
guy.
Okay,
You know that.
we're coming. I'm not saying we're going to win the national championship. I hope so, and I'm a huge Boomer Sooner, so
Y'all
I'd have
still,
to lean towards. Now, if I'm playing, I like playing in Super Bowls, so obviously, but I'm a fan. So
Venable's still the head coach at?
he is, yeah, Coach V.
Dude, he's a dude, man. At Clemson,
he's a good dude. Yeah. Oh man, he had him rolling there, right?
the defense, holy
He
cow.
was Coach Venables he was our defensive coordinator when I was in school at Oklahoma. So he was always a guy that I always respected, and just as a leadership from leadership standpoint, and also just an X's and O's guy. He was good, treated his players great. High intensity. Obviously, you saw at Clemson, he had the guy that was like walking behind him, pulling him back.
Yeah.
That was like one guy's designated job was to keep Coach V off the field because he's so
intense.
intense.
Love that.
But I'm glad we have him, and thankful that he's in Norman again.
Yeah. You get to choose between a dream hunting trip or a dream fishing trip. Which one are you going?
I got to go hunting.
Yeah. What would it be?
Dream hunting. I've always wanted to go to Alaska and hunt moose with a bow. That's something I've always wanted to do. It's on the list when I'm done playing. It's on the list. But I think I love fishing, but I enjoy fishing. I love hunting. I'll put it that way. So anything where I can go see the terrain, go see the mountains, different areas, and I think a moose is such a large animal that to be in the brush close to one of those, close enough for a bow shot. Elk's up there too.
Totally, yeah.
But when you're playing football, like the majority of your life in the fall, you don't really have an opportunity to go elk hunt. So that's on the list as well. But I think elk or moose with a bow.
Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah.
And it's like you've had some once in a lifetime moments in football too. What was it? I forgot the game, but it was Darren Sproles when you knocked the football.
Yeah, that's right.
You got the fumble recovery.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to make a big play on Darren, which
How did that feel?
Felt incredible. I jacked up in the moment, and I felt like maybe I should go apologize to Mr. Sproles after the game because he was a guy that I grew up watching.
Yeah,
he's the Darren Sproles, and you don't really think of it in the moment, but I had an opportunity to play the Eagles in 2017, and he was a return man, and I wish I could take total credit for that, but he made 4 of our guys miss before I got there. So shout out to my teammates for making him duck and dodge,
Yeah.
juke right or left, and then finally
boom,
it lined up for
Winchester
me.
comes in.
They lined it up perfectly. I had the opportunity to make a hit on him and knock the ball out. We got the fumble, and we ended up winning that game by 3 points, 20-17.
Are you doing any celebration after that?
The Eagles won a Super Bowl that year, so
True.
yeah.
Did you have like a signature dance move after that happened?
Dude, I never had a dance move. Even to this day, I just get so excited.
Yeah.
I just start fist pumping and just doing the double. I
Totally,
get excited. So, and like every shot after, I've made a big play, whether it was a fumble recovery or, forced fumble or big tackle or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do other than just like get jacked up and flex and yell. I mean, that's like my number one. So I'm not a guy with dance moves, so you're not going to see me out there dancing. No.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, one more, and then you ask me one.
Okay.
So you walk into a bar, and there's a person sitting there, and you get to have a couple cocktails with them. One of them, it's either Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift. Who you sitting down and having a couple drinks?
Man, I see Travis enough. So
you're going Swift.
Yeah, I've had enough conversations and get to see Travis every day. It's a long season from July until February. Love you, Trav, but I see enough of you. So yeah, it'd probably be sit down and visit with Taylor. And she's pretty easy to talk to, so I think that'd be a fun conversation. I'd have
I learn a lot too.
probably would,
Especially on the
she's
dance
very,
move
yeah,
side.
she's sharp. She's very sharp. And on the dance floor, she might could help me out. Or I'd be dancing like my kids to the Shake It Off. But I think it'd definitely be with Taylor for sure.
All right, so now you ask me one.
If you could choose dogs, would you choose a black lab or a Australian Shepherd?
I got to go black lab, man.
Yeah,
Those
hunting dog.
labs are the hunting dogs.
Hunting dogs,
they're
smart,
just
good
like
dogs. Yeah,
smart family dogs. They're
Yeah.
just like, I feel like when people say, dog is a man's best friend, I think that was built by a lab, no matter the
good.
color.
yeah.
It's just like a lab's meant to be your best friend.
So growing up, that was my dream dog, was a
Black
lab. So lab was the dream dog. We ended up with mini Aussies, so I had to set you up on that one. Unbelievable, you didn't pick the mini Aussie.
I know.
So they are minis, but they're kind of on the bigger side of minis.
You have one now, right?
We do. We got two. Yeah, Gunner and Gray. They're good
Yeah.
dogs. But one of these days, I'll get my lab. So I love our dogs, but those are probably my two favorite breeds. So I kind of had to ask you that question.
We need to get you a lab. Name Winchester or something.
That'd be a good one. Yeah, you got to go with a name.
Yeah.
I like, have you ever seen a red lab?
Yes.
I really want
Or
a red
silver lab, like those off-color
So my
labs.
uncle, he raised chocolate labs.
Okay.
So when I was younger, they were raising chocolate labs. And so they all have chocolate labs. I love chocolate labs. But I have a good buddy of mine, Tom Johnson's down in South Texas, and he had a pair of red labs.
Yeah.
And that was the prettiest colored lab I've ever seen in my life. And so I think I'm going to have to get a red lab one of these days. That's might be my hunting dog.
We're going to do that. We're going to
We'll
make
wait
that
till after
happen.
I'm done playing, though,
Yeah.
because I want to spend the time training and
For sure.
working with the pup. So yeah.
Dogs are so popular right now, too, especially Barstool's new dog, Miss Peaches. Have you seen
yeah.
that? I mean, Dave, man, he can make anything famous. That dude's
That
a
dog,
monster.
that dog is uber famous at this point, right? Yeah.
He's got way more followers than probably all of us combined.
Peaches, I love the name. I think hearing him say Peaches is my favorite part of that whole
Yeah.
thing. Just the way he says it with that northeastern accent. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Well, there was the game. I appreciate you playing that. Football, we can talk football all day, and you've had so much success. Congrats on that.
Thank
I
you.
love what y'all are
appreciate that.
doing in Chiefs Kingdom. Man, they're coming in hard and heavy, and I really don't see them going away anytime soon. Any prediction for the season before we move on from football?
I mean, the goal is a three-peat, and that's what we're chasing. And we've got the pieces to do it, but you got to go do it one at a time.
Yeah.
If there's anything we've learned from playing in Super Bowls, losing them and winning them,
Yeah.
they're hard. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to get to that point. There's
Because
so
you've
many
lost one Super
variables.
Bowl, right?
We did, yeah.
And that was
Tom
2-10.
Brady.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's tough. And I mean, there's so many years, like the battles we've had with the Bills and all those teams we play. So much respect for those teams because, it's just been a hair away. And, Baltimore, Buffalo, I mean, Miami, all teams deserving.
Everybody's
of
getting
being
better.
up there. Yeah, it is. And it's one of those deals where, and we have friends that play for all those teams.
Yeah.
So that's another wrinkle that a lot of people don't think about. And that's just at the end of the day as a competitor, you're competing for that highest goal. And we've been fortunate to squeak some wins out and have the coaches and personnel to do it. But
got a great QB.
a lot of great teams, a lot of great competitors, and I feel like the AFC just keeps getting loaded up and has more and more talent. And so it's tough. It is really tough. But obviously the three-peat would be the goal.
Totally. And you got Patty Mahomes. Do you think, at the end of the day, is he going to be the greatest of all time over Tom?
Man, if he keeps going at this rate,
I know.
Could do it. And that's the deal is, you could always be close, but not. But for him, with his level of play and what he's doing, there's no reason he can't.
Yeah.
And in recent years, you see what he does. It's like, whatever you do, don't bet against Pat, And from a long snapper standpoint, I like playing, and I don't really get to play unless we get stopped on third down.
Yeah.
For maybe a field goal, for inside field goal.
Yeah. So you're chilling out a lot of the game,
So
man.
we don't average a whole lot of punts. So it's kind of one of those deals where like, man, I like scoring and I like winning, but you're like, I like playing too.
Totally,
so,
yeah.
But again, all that to be said, very fortunate and blessed to get to play in Kansas City and get to have the opportunity to be teammates with these guys. Get to know them, their families, be around Hall of Fame players and coaches. It's a dream come true. So
That's
we're
awesome.
fortunate to be in Kansas City.
And I want to talk about, because you mentioned the word family a lot, and that's where I want to dig into off football a little bit. Like the family life and how you grew up, and you've got a huge passion for the outdoors. And this goes back to, why I started Like a Farmer. It's not like every single person that comes on my show is a full-time farmer, right? The goal is to celebrate the farmer, educate the people, but you're celebrating the farmer by just bringing people that are outdoor enthusiasts or like to hunt or like to fish or want to know where their food comes from or want to appreciate the people that grow their food. Like, where'd you grab that passion of just being outdoors?
Well, growing up, so I'd go all the way back to my grandpa and his brothers. They all grew up in Maysville, Oklahoma, Central Oklahoma. My dad was raised in Southern Oklahoma, Marietta, Love County. My grandpa for 40 plus years, raised watermelons in the summer and harvested pecans in the fall. And so growing up, that was what my dad grew up around. So when I came along, that's what I was kind of subjected to, being around, watching them harvest pecans, watching them raise watermelons, and just great people. Overall, and so. Which is kind of like what we're doing here with living on a farm and raising our kids in Bucyrus, Kansas. It's kind of, we're kind of following my dad's model because, when he worked for Southwest Airlines for 29 years in Oklahoma City. And when he started having little ones, he moved us down to Washington, Oklahoma, south of Norman, a little small town, great school, great community, great sports program. And that's kind of what we called home. And so, being raised in an area that was kind of similar to how he grew up in Southern Oklahoma, that's what he wanted to instill in us at a young age. And, looking back on it now, I have so much pride being from Washington, Oklahoma, being from a small town, graduated with 52 kids, town of 500, farming community itself. They farmed cotton when I was younger, and then that went to wheat and beans and corn as I got older. And so just being around that, there was a lot of horse farms in our area, so quarter horses. So a lot of buddies that I was around, one of my best friends, Jeff Tompkins, growing up, after school, I'd go home with him, and his dad owned a quarter horse farm. And you didn't go over to Jeff's house without going to work first. So had to go feed, clean stalls, and then you could go do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, things like that, just being brought up there, being raised around my family down in Southern Oklahoma and Marietta, a lot of those, that had a huge impact on my life. And, which is why I love small town, which is why I love people, good blue collar folks that make a living and work hard and, love the Lord and like to, live their life in a certain way. And so for me, having the success that I've had, got to have in Kansas City, that was the dream of mine was, hey, I want to move out, raise my kids that way. And man, by the grace of God, we're getting to do it here in Bucyrus and have great neighbors, a lot of farming families around us, the Gettermans, Bobby England and his family with England Farms, Foote family over here, Foote Cattle Co. Met a lot of great people. And I feel very fortunate to be surrounded by them, to be raising my kids in this area. And then, from a outdoor standpoint, loving hunting and fishing. That goes hand in hand, right?
It's all a lifestyle, what you're explaining,
right.
which is super cool. Like, and I got to meet your wife and kids earlier, and they're all great. And like you keep on hitting on like, Pat, this is how I was raised back in Oklahoma, and like I need to create that lifestyle for my family, and that's super cool to see that. Like, why is that so important to you? I mean, lifestyle. It's that rural America lifestyle. It's that small town America lifestyle. It's that farmer lifestyle. I mean, that's why we started this platform, is just to like embrace that lifestyle that a lot of people want to live.
Well, it's like I could think it's like the best kept secret, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in today's day and age, with everything we have, technology and where our nation is headed, and advancing, there's just a simplicity with rural America, and it's a great place to raise a family, and there's just all those values. I feel like me and my wife Emily, we feel like our greatest purpose in life is raising those three upstairs, and having the opportunity to teach them and instill values. And right now it's fun, right? I mean, you get to run around on the farm, whether it's going to gather eggs at our chicken coop or getting to ride while they plant beans around the house, things like that, to be around John Deere tractors and stuff. But a lot of those life skills, I go back to my childhood, and those are a lot of things that really helped me excel into what I did. Like in a lot of doors in my in my career came to a close, but a lot of the values of overcoming adversity and
work
perseverance
ethic.
and
Boom.
work ethic.
Keep it going, baby. Keep it going.
Those are some things that allowed me to do what I did. I mean, God gave me the ability, athletic ability. I can only give Him credit for that. But the work ethic directly came from my family and how they were raised and where they were from. Blue collar family, and so I have no doubt in my mind I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that raising. So for me, looking at the most important purpose that I have in life with raising my children, that's what I want to do for them, and what better way to do that than to instill a lot of the same values by letting them be kids out in the country, get to run around and learn those things, and learn about hard work, learn about this and that you'd learn on the farm. And so that's what's important for me. I mean, honestly, that's and we're getting to do it, right? Like we're getting to live the dream, and while I'm still playing. I mean, I never thought in a million years this career would happen, but also to be able to do this while I'm still playing is just unbelievable, man. So we just wake up every day and thank the Lord for what He's given us and what He continues to bless us with, and we're blessed with three healthy little ones, and we're rolling. So,
kind of goes back to Chiefs Kingdom, man. It seems you're in the right place for that blue collar,
man. I wish I could take credit for it. But,
I know.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got a fan base that are built like that too.
That's right.
And then the Swifties
Midwest,
come in,
man.
and
Midwest is tough to beat. It really is. And of all the teams you can go play for, to play for the Kansas City Chiefs right here in the heart of America. Growing up in Central Oklahoma, the people are a lot of the same. Good people, good hardworking people that have a lot of good values to them. And so we love the Midwest. We're thankful that we ended up here.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, you get it, man. He was preaching. That's freaking awesome. Seriously. James, one thing that I like about you, and I've seen it just hanging around off camera, is you're a family man, and you're a dad first before any football player.
Yeah.
And like even talking about your father off camera, like I want to talk a little bit about that too, because you had just a tragedy that I would hope, and I'm sure you would hope nobody ever has to go through, and you did, and you lost your father. He did get to watch you play your first year in Kansas City, which I'm sure was a huge blessing for him and you, but just give me the rundown on that, man, and what he meant to you at like growing up, and I'm sure he was one of the pioneers that brought you your success today. But just tell me about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I am. I think for me, a lot of guys, a lot of kids growing up, don't get to know their father, or don't get to have a father figure in their life, and for me and my siblings, we got to have the best dad around, and I am who I am because of him. We lost him in a tragedy in 2016, and my first year was with the Chiefs was 2015, and so it was midway through the year, mid-season, which was incredible. A deal that you hope no one has to go through, but you also realize there's a lot of people that suffer tragedies all around you every day, and so that was a big deal. That was a big hit for our family, and my dad was my best friend. He was a guy that I looked up to. I learned everything from, and really just I was molded by him, and so I have so much that I owe him, and in my life, and my success goes back to him. And thankfully he got to watch some football. Got to watch me play in the NFL and chase that dream. And we had a lot of conversations leading up to that. When I would get on a plane, he worked for Southwest Airlines for 29 years. When I was on my way flying out to work out for teams, he was my biggest supporter. He'd always meet me up there and sit down and talk about, how this workout was going to go and if we could maybe sign with the team, and, just kind of your hopes and aspirations, everything with what you wanted out of that. But, and he was even a guy that about my third year in said, sat me down at the airport at Will Rogers World Airport. I was waiting for a flight to Buffalo, and he actually said, hey man, he said, I know you want to, you want this thing, you want this dream, but he's like, you're not doing it for me. Don't do it. Don't think you have to keep, have the pressure to continue chasing this dream because of me. He's like, you do it for you. If you feel like you need to hang it up because, you met the woman of your dreams and you guys are, going to get married and have a life and have kids, that's there's other things in life outside of that dream. And lo and behold, ended up making it, another year or two later. And he did. He got to watch me play in Kansas City, and then half of that second year before he passed. And just, man, it was just what he meant to our family. I mean, I really can't put it into words, honestly. I mean, I am who I am. My siblings, my three sisters, they are who they are because of him. He was a rock in our family that meant so much. And from a faith standpoint, from a work ethic, he worked for Southwest Airlines for 29 years.
Yeah.
And you talk about work ethic. He got up so early to go to work. I mean, he would get up when we got to an age where we started playing sports. He started working the early shift, so he would go to work at 3 a.m. every morning, so he could get off, by 1 p.m. so he could be home for our practices. And that kind of dedication to, I mean, that's not easy. I mean,
what was he doing for the airlines?
He was a ramp supervisor for Southwest Airlines. So any of the operations, on the ground when the plane comes in. Getting the bags moved, all that, refuel, all of the above before the plane leaves. He was a supervisor over that operation. And so he loved what he did. He started working for them in the late 80s, right after college. And, I mean, absolutely loved Southwest Airlines. And they still, to this day, mean so much to our family for everything that they've been and everything they did for us after losing Dad. But, yeah, I mean, he chose to get up every morning and go to work so that he could be back and be present in our lives, And so things like that where you're like, man, I'm going through a hard time in sports, hard time this. I'm like, man, my dad's doing it every day. So, rain, shine, doesn't matter. I mean, if they had a ice storm moving in, he would sleep at the airport. And so he could get up and get the APU units running on the airplane so they were ready to go when people got there, probably 2:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Just man, I hate that, you always play the what ifs game, right? I mean, you can't not, and here we are getting to be a part of Super Bowls. And I wish more than anything he could be here for all of that.
Yeah.
But, that's the way life works out. And, there's been so many blessings that has come from that tragedy. And all my siblings have started having little ones, and we got nieces and nephews, and we've got 3 of our own.
Yeah.
And there's just so many good things that are going on now, and so many blessings that we never thought were possible. And so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it was a tough deal, and it was hard mid-season, I mean, that happened, and, getting a call on a Tuesday. I mean, I was actually getting ready to go hunt. I was loading up the bow and getting the truck packed up to go get in a deer stand early November 15th, when I got a call from my older sister that Dad had been shot leaving work, and we really didn't know what was going on in those moments. And later on, she called and said, he'd passed from the injuries. And so, yeah, I mean, you never.
They found the guy.
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And then did you play that next Sunday?
I did. Yeah. So that was a deal.
I know the Chief Kingdom kind of surrounded.
Oh, they were huge. Coach Reid and his support, Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, I can't thank everyone. Even the University of Oklahoma. Joe Castiglione, athletic director there. Everyone was so good. The Hunt family, top-notch family, and their support was huge in that moment. Coach Reid, and then our family together. I had a tough conversation with Coach Reid. I had to call him and tell him what happened, and he just said, "Go. You need to be with your family." And we were playing Tampa Bay actually that next weekend, and that was on a Tuesday. And the one thing in that conversation, and it was a blur with Coach Reid. I just felt, I felt that my dad would want me to play in that coming game. And I knew he always preached accountability, always preached to be there for the man that depends on you, and if someone depends on you, you're there, like always be early, never late. And that's just a part of it. And so it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. And so for me, on the phone with Coach Reid, I said, I'll be there, I'll be there on Sunday. And he's like, don't worry about that. You just go be with your family. We'll figure it out. And I said, Coach, I'll be there. You can count on me. I'll be back for the game. And so we buried Dad on a Saturday and got on a plane with the GM, John Dorsey at the time, and flew back to Kansas City and played in the game the next day. And it was tough. It really was tough. There were some guys that I knew from Tampa Bay, and it was that they were with me, that were around Dad when Dad was so supportive during my college years, and having family, and it was one of those things that was so tough to work through. But at the same time, I knew that what my dad wanted me to do, and I knew that there was a lot of family and my family members that were hurting. I mean, we're broken, and so it was a way to kind of get their minds off of the tragedy and losing Dad, and so there was you just try to look at the blessings in the situation, and you try to move forward one foot after the other. That was one thing that Dad always preached was, you get knocked on your rear one foot after the other. Just keep pushing, keep pressing, and that's a blue collar
mindset.
And just to go and to have no quit. And so that's how I was raised. And I think that's how we handled that situation, from a family of faith. And so very grateful for the faith that we all share and just one foot in front of the other and continued to, heal through time. You don't totally get over something like that, but it certainly pushes you forward. And being in these moments, anytime we get to play in a big game, I just feel Dad close. I feel him, that he would, and really just enjoy like being there with the family.
That
the first Super Bowl, we took 19 people to that game. Actually 22 or 19 people. Grandparents, siblings, uncles, and we took everybody. And that was such a special deal because, you're like, that's exactly how my dad would want it. And we always had family at every Super Bowl represented, and such a cool deal. So, having my, son and daughter get those Super Bowls, you just look at that whole deal from 1,000 feet up, and you go, he'd be proud. He'd be proud of what we're doing, and I am who I am because of him.
I was about to say, you could just tell.
Yeah.
You could tell the amount of time that you got to spend with him, work ethic and adversity and faith and family first. I mean, it kind of embodies you. So
that's right. That's him.
I appreciate you telling me.
Yeah, you bet.
What about the hunting side? I mean, who taught you how to hunt?
I had my family. Growing up on a farm. When you look at what you do out there, well, you get in the outdoors. You enjoy when you have time, whether it's hunting, fishing. Whether you're on the river, the lake. Family grew up right between Lake Murray and Lake Texoma in southern Oklahoma, and so you always had a great option to go fish down there. And they took me when I was little. That I give them credit because my uncle at a young age, when I was 4 years old, he was taking me out deer hunting, and just fell in love with the woods, the simplicity of it. But yet there was always a challenge, and there were so many variables from the weather to the season, chasing a wild animal, in their game. That was just always such a cool thing for me, but it's just so simple. And so, I going through high school, I look at that and how much value there was in being interested in the outdoors and being interested in spending time outside. After a football game on a Friday night, when all my buddies were going to do whatever, I was going down south to go hunt. We had family's place down in Marietta, and I wanted to be in a deer stand on Saturday morning. And
you wanted to be outside. I
wanted to be outside, yeah. So I always had a love for land, always had a love for the outdoors.
Correct. And that love for land, I want to hit on that too, because you are part of, is it the Choctaw Nation?
Choctaw Nation, of Oklahoma. Yeah, so I get that from my grandma's side. Yeah.
Which is awesome. I want to talk about that because it goes back to having a passion for land. It just has to be ingrained in you. And part of me thinks that might be from where it's from.
Yeah, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
Thankful to, pretty cool to be very proud of my heritage as a Choctaw Nation. And like I said, get that from my grandma's side. And it's such a cool deal, There's a lot of people back home, in southern Oklahoma that are part of the Choctaw Nation that, you feel those people cheering for you and excited for you. And that's such a cool deal. I've had the opportunity to meet and have a lot of conversations with Chief Gary Batten. He's chief of the Choctaw Nation, and what a cool deal, to be in a spot where, it's kind of a cool deal. The chief, it's a neat thing. And he came up last year for the Eagles game, actually, and got to introduce him to our business side of the facility and get to tell him and tell them about him and introduce him, and
That's awesome.
Such a cool deal. Yeah, but,
There's
I
some
think,
good synergies there too. I mean,
yeah, a lot of, just the connecting points,
Yeah.
between the nation and the state of Oklahoma and now here. I mean, man, just very fortunate. And but I mean, the love for being outdoors, that was something that I think goes hand in hand with being raised in the country and enjoying those things. And, not everybody loves it, but, I think everybody finds what they enjoy doing outdoors, whether it's a hobby outside, fishing, hunting, hiking, I mean, doing whatever you want. I mean, there's so much value, and I feel like it's so good for your soul, to just be outside. And same thing in season. I mean, for me to get out and, I don't get to hunt quite as much as I used to, but, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday in season, I have the opportunity to get outside and go bow hunt a little bit.
Yeah.
And now that we have a farm, it's kind of nice because I got a little setup on the backside. Get to take the kids and kind of get them into it.
And teach them young, right?
That's right.
And that's what you want to do. What's been your biggest kill so far?
Biggest kill is a deer on the wall right here. It was a 165 inch whitetail that
Out here,
on the farm. So
that's right.
pretty cool.
Before you owned the house.
Before we owned it, I don't think we got into that one, did we? How we found the place?
No, I want to hear. No, we didn't.
Okay, yeah.
We hit a little bit on it, but there's a story that I heard upstairs.
Okay, upstairs. That's right. So we've been looking to move out of Overland Park for a couple of years, and had the opportunity to hunt a property down here that one of our mutual friend of a friend got us down here, and ended up killing a big deer. And so the next year rolled around. Actually, I gave the guy that allowed me to
the tickets.
Gave him some tickets, and just trying to tell him thank you for letting me, just out of the goodness of his heart, he allowed me to come out and do something that I love on his property. Didn't have to do that. He could have charged me to do it, didn't do it. And so to thank him, I gave him a couple of tickets to a game and said, man, I really appreciate it. So he took him and his wife went to the game, and they had a good time. And the next year rolled around. So I was in, October. So the next September rolled around, and I thought, man, that was a good place to bow hunt. I wonder if, and you can only go so far when you're hunting while you're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, so really the closer the better to town if you have the opportunity. And so I asked him if I could hunt at that property again, and he sent back, yeah, absolutely, go for it. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then his next text was, hey, the lady on top of the hill is selling her property, and so he's like, 3 people know about it. I'll pass along her number if you want to look at it. She's not going to put it on the market. And so I'm like, man, I've hunted that property. It's pretty good deer hunting out there, but we'll see what the house looks like. And so.
And we all know it's not your decision. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
You know who wears the pants.
The missus has a big part of that. Which then when I told her, and all she'd ever done is drop me off at the barn. When I walked back to my hunting spot, and so she's like, "Oh, the house on top of the hill? Like, I'm not moving out there. Like I like it where we're at." And, and so I said, "Well, Emily, just go to the property with me. Just drive out and look at it." She's like, "Okay, but I know you just want it because you killed a deer out there. You want to hunt." And I'm like, "Yes, but that's not the the whole reasoning behind it." And so we contacted the owner, and she allowed us to come out and look at the property. And driving up the driveway, both of us were like, "Wow, this is a beautiful spot." I mean, coming from living in a neighborhood, I mean, this is exactly where we wanted to be. And I hunted this area, obviously, because I hunted the deer back there. But we thought, man, this would be a great place to raise the kids. And so we'll see what happens. It was in season, and it was in a contract year, so that was like double red flags for me. So I'm like, probably not going to work, but let's just go look at it. And we both fell in love with the property, and the owner was great, and allowed us to put an offer on it. We ended up getting it, and we've been here almost 3 years now, and raising the kids out here, and it's just unbelievable. So we give the deer credit. The deer was a huge part of that whole deal, but I think the good Lord above is who led us.
And you've been bringing him along. Now he's
right here on the wall. I mean, he's back home. He moved, and he came back to the farm. So, so here he is.
And then you've been buying property around contiguous to this, right?
Yep. Ended up buying the property around us, and so added to the farm. So we've got 80 acres here, and
you're slowly becoming a farmer, man. I mean,
that's the thing.
What's your plan? Like, what's
I don't know. Here's the deal. I mean, if you haven't figured out so far by listening to me, I love the outdoors and I love land.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested in land real estate, and we'll see where that goes. I've made some contacts here in Kansas City, and some great ones. I actually got the hat on Midwest Land Group.
There you go.
Great group of guys over there, and have been very, very blessed to get to know those guys, and know a lot of the guys that actually hunt with Heartland Bow Hunter. And so Skylar Wursig and a bunch of those guys that work over there, and they're just great people, man. They're great guys, and I'm fortunate to get to know them and their families, and they're all Chiefs fans. So
Yeah.
it's a really neat deal for me. But yeah, you don't play football forever, and so something, I'm focused on doing something that I enjoy. I get up every day,
Well, that's
love what I do, and
totally.
enjoy. And I think that should be everyone's focus. But I
And
feel
that's
very,
my last question
Yeah.
too. Like, what does life look like after football?
I'll be doing a lot of the same things that I'm doing now. Obviously dedicated to my family and raising those kids. That's the number one. But yeah, hope to get involved in some kind of real estate, and I'll definitely have more time to hunt and fish and do those things, especially in the fall. But I'm hopeful and excited for the future and see what happens. But right now I'm not done playing, so
You got a couple more
to,
years left,
man. I'm living the dream. I mean, I never thought I would play 10 years in the National Football League, and to
And
do
is that
it
normal for a long snapper?
I mean, as a specialist, a kicker, punter, snapper, the average year is going to be higher than the average player is like 2 years in the NFL.
It's crazy.
I think as a kicker, punter, snapper, it's probably like the average is probably around like 5 years.
Yeah, you've played 10.
5-6 years. So I mean, to play 10, to do it in Kansas City, I mean, what a dream come true.
Yeah.
So we're living the dream, playing in Kansas City, and still get to do what I love. I mean, I love the game of football. I love snapping. I love everything that goes along with it. And we're the guy that doesn't get a lot of recognition. That's okay with me. Where I was raised and where I grew up, I'm not a hey, look at me kind of guy. So I get to be a part of an incredible team. Get to go win Super Bowls. Have a hand in Super Bowls, literally. But Pat and Travis, they can kind of take the spotlight. And we get to live our life here, live on a farm in Kansas City. Never thought that'd be possible to do that while we were still playing. And so, man, we're blessed. We really are.
You've got a couple more years left in you.
Oh, for sure.
I'm gonna give everybody a hot take. James Winchester is gonna win another Super Bowl. I'm going to tell you that.
Man. I'm gonna try.
After my boy Josh wins his
there
Super
you
Bowl.
go. There you go. Hey, shout out Josh, man.
Shout out Josh.
He's a heck of a quarterback and a heck of a guy. So,
we need more people like you. Seriously, and I mean that. I'm super excited to have you on this show and to shed light on who James Winchester is. The league needs more people like you too. You're just what you do when it comes to your family, how you raise your family, how you present yourself, work ethic. You've gone through more adversity than people even know about, right? I mean, and I just can't thank you enough, and I look forward to really gaining a friendship with you.
Yeah, man, this has been awesome. Yeah. Awesome opportunity. So yeah, man, it's been incredible. So thank you for having me on, and thanks for coming out and seeing the farm and being
absolutely,
on the plays.
Man.
And man, I'm happy to do anything for you that I can, and look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Appreciate it. 3-time Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs long snapper James Winchester. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, do what you got to do: like, comment, share, subscribe. Do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.